This is Qtv Nightly News. I am Amudu Gajaga and thank you for joining us. First, here are the main news headlines. The studies of students at St. John's School for the Deaf along Caraba Avenue are threatened by a looming scarcity of teachers, coupled with the challenge of access to employment opportunities in public offices after completing their education. The Gambia Sickle Cell Association held a handing over ceremony on Friday to welcome its new executive members while celebrating the achievements of the retiring leadership. Our regional correspondent Don Williams spoke to various people about how to tackle the menace of waste and litter, which are choking our communities. In international news, at least 19 people were left dead after deadly gunfire erupted in Chad's capital N'Djamena on Wednesday night between security forces and more than a dozen armed fighters who stormed the presidential palace. Also in international news, some 102 men were executed by the Congolese government in the past week in the Democratic Republic of Congo, DRC, and 70 more are set to be executed by this weekend. Those were the news headlines. Now the news in detail. Welcome and thank you for joining us. This is Qtv News. The studies of students at the St. John's School for the Deaf along Caraba Avenue are threatened by a looming scarcity of teachers, coupled with the challenge of access to employment opportunities in public offices after completing their education. In this extended report, Osman Jatta delved into the plight of the school since its inception and filed this report.
For 4 decades, the St. John's School for the Deaf has been a beacon of hope for many students with hearing impairments. However, inside the classrooms of the school looms a growing crisis. The hard of hearing students are grappling with a shortage of qualified teachers, limited career opportunities, and an uncertain future. Babukar Gay is the second vice principal of St. John's School for the Deaf.
It's making us handicapped for some teachers, for some areas, because it's not easy teaching here. All our training here is on the job training. Most of us is on the job training. I have been here for, let's say, 30 years now. I have never gone for overseas training to learn this sign language. All the sign language I know, I learn it here in the school. Every teacher comes here, we train as you are teaching. Every Friday, we normally have classes for teachers on sign language. That is how we upgrade them on sign language. Because it's not easy to get teachers here, because of the nature of our children and the sign language aspect of it. Because many teachers, you ask them to come, they said when they come here, they will never perform.
Established in 1984, the school houses nearly 300 students with an upper basic, secondary, and early childhood education center, offering several subjects, including technical education. Lamin D. Sonko has been an interpreter for the hard of hearing for over a decade, and also serves as the vice chair of the Association of Sign Language Interpreters of the Gambia. Sonko highlights some of the misconceptions about the hard of hearing.
So some of the misconceptions are deaf people are very difficult. They easily consume anger, and all those things. All those are myths. So they're not true. Everyone can be easily angered. Some people are also saying when you work with deaf people, you might have a deaf child also. This is not so. We all working with deaf people and we enjoy working with deaf people, and that is not so. So deaf people are the most beautiful people on earth. So they're very much friendly, especially when they know that you understand the sign language.
A key challenge of a hard of hearing person is the barrier in effective public communication. To address this plight, Vice Principal Gay advocates for the establishment of a boarding school to increase the right support for his students.
Because deaf children, you stay with them, that's the time you interact with them. But if they're coming and going, well, some of them, even if they are sick, they want to come to school, because when they are at home, they don't have anybody to communicate with. So that is why it is good that if at all we can have a boarding, so they stay here with us and the teachers as well. Transportation also is our constraint. Our children, they cannot join the public buses. When they want to reach a destination that they want to ally, they cannot talk. They can take them in the wrong destination.
As the students prepare for life beyond school, the outlook is equally bleak. The stigma surrounding disabilities combined with a lack of sign language fluency in the workplace, leaves many without opportunities to fully contribute to society. Sonko elaborates on their employment challenges.
Most of the time when deaf people, when they complete school, they have to sit back and think. Sometimes they apply to other institutions and they are not accepted. Sometimes they are accepted. And even if they are accepted, they don't have interpreters employed. We want government to take the charge to employ interpreters, to train interpreters, to take the responsibility of training interpreters and employing them. So deaf people get this barrier. Sometimes an employer will interview them and said, we want to employ you, but when we employ you, we're going to pay an interpreter service. So they rather give the opportunity to a non-deaf person than a deaf person.
In a bid to support the education of hard of hearing students, the St. John's Schools for the Deaf established 2 extensions in Basse in the Upper River region and in Esau in the North Bank region. Vice Principal Gay and Mr. Sonko emphasized the need for government's urgent intervention to introduce sign language and interpretation courses at the Gambia College and the University of the Gambia.
We want the Gambia College also to start introducing sign language training courses in the college or even at the university. Because some UTG students used to pass through here before they graduate.
Previously, the Deaf Association is the only body training interpreters in the country with the support from Interpreters Association in UK. They've been training interpreters in the country for the past years. This we want change. We want government of the Gambia through the Ministry of Higher Education to come and partner with the Deaf Association. Because we've seen university recently having the Chinese course, having Arabic and French course. So we have deaf people that are Gambians, they're native, they're born in the Gambia, their parents have been paying tax.
In spite of these challenges, some students are thriving at the Gambia Technical Training Institute and other recognized technical training centers. Principal Gay unveils their success stories.
Some of them on these local workshops, and they are working on their own. I have trained somebody who now has his own workshop after finishing here. I also trained someone who is now the assistant metalwork teacher in this school.
As the plight of these hard of hearing students grow ever more urgent, the giant question must be asked: will the government and society rise to the challenge of addressing these inequalities, or will these young minds continue to be left to struggle silently? Osman Jata reporting for QTV News.
The Gambia Sickle Cell Association held a handing over ceremony on Friday to welcome its new executive members while celebrating the achievements of the retiring leadership. The event was held at the American Corners new building in Fajara. Yafatu Gay was there and she now reports.
This was an occasion to reflect on the organization's progress over the years and to recognize the tireless contributions of the outgoing executive members, who have played a pivotal role in advancing the fight against sickle cell disease in the country. Sickle cell disease is a group of inherited red blood cell disorder that primarily affect hemoglobin, the protein in red blood cells responsible for carrying oxygen throughout the body. In the Gambia, where sickle cell disease is a significant public health issue, patients face numerous challenges that affect their quality of life, access to care, and overall health outcomes. Despite efforts to raise awareness and provide medical support, several factors contribute to the difficulties experienced by individuals living with sickle cell disease. The handing over ceremony was attended by key stakeholders, including health professionals, government officials, and members of the sickle cell community, who gathered to honor the outgoing executive for their hard work, dedication, and the leadership in raising awareness about sickle cell disease and supporting affected individuals and families in the Gambia. The outgoing president of the association, Aliu B.W. Sambu, expressed gratitude for having had the opportunity to serve and highlighted the achievements made during the tenure of the outgoing members.
On behalf of my able team, I would like to take this opportunity to extend our deepest gratitude to the founders of this life-changing association that had not only saved lives, but also gave us hope to live. It was never an easy task for all of us who took up this responsibility to serve, but because of the love and empathy that was shown to us, everything became easier than we were expecting. From 2008 to date, we have been able to achieve so much success, both nationally and internationally.
Mamadou Gassama, a health promotion specialist with the World Health Organization, spoke about the importance of continued advocacy for sickle cell disease and the need for the public to have greater understanding of the disease.
We need to really go out to make sure that there is a system in place that really is proactive in screening babies. Screening babies because that's an early start. If you know that somebody is having this, then you know you can make your plans, because many people go with this disease without knowing. So we need to really strengthen advocacy for people to be aware of it so that people can test themselves. Test yourself is better. So when you test yourself, you will be able to know how to really plan your own life, your marriage.
As part of the ceremony, the new executive members were introduced to the gathering, with the incoming president outlining the vision for the future of the association. The new leadership emphasized their commitment to continuing the important work of the association, including expanding outreach efforts, improving medical care for sickle cell patients, and advocating for stronger government support for those affected by the condition. Here is Musa Adem, the incoming president.
The first challenge we are facing in the Gambia right now as a sickle cell patients is medication problem. And people are not aware of the sickness. So we are having a project of working to make awareness so that everybody can go and be tested, even have a screening before marriage, so that you can know the genotype you're having before bringing more sickle cell patients into this Gambia. In the Gambia, and then we also planning to have a Medicare better treatment, which was even done by our former executive, but we want to step in more so that, because this medication for sickle cell patients are expensive and then very rare to get, so we are working to achieve on that.
The ceremony concluded with a formal handing over of the leadership duties, symbolizing the passing of the torch to the new team. Both the outgoing and the incoming executive expressed a shared commitment to the continued growth of the association, ensuring that the fight against sickle cell disease remains a priority in the country's public health agenda. The event celebrated the past while serving as a reaffirmation of the ongoing work to improve the lives of those affected by sickle cell in the Gambia. Reporting for QTV News, this is Yafat Gay.
From that story, we'll now go for a commercial break, and when we return, we still have some more local and international news stories. Do stay tuned.
Browse with us. QCell brings you a promo like never before. Get unlimited internet for just $25. Yes! Recharge $25 and enjoy the convenience of free internet from 1 a.m. to 6 a.m. every day with our Browse with Us promo. With this amazing offer, you can browse, stream, and download all your favorite movies for free. So why wait? Recharge $25 today and enjoy free internet only with QCell between 1 a.m. to 6 a.m. For more information, call customer care on 111. QCell, Senior Bus, we innovate, others follow. Terms and conditions apply.
Welcome back, and if you're just joining us, this is QTV News. One doesn't have to look hard to realize that we have a serious problem with waste disposal. Rubbish can be seen discarded and scattered almost everywhere in public places. To find out who is responsible and how we can improve the situation, our regional correspondent Don Williams spoke to various people, and his report is narrated by Lolly M. Camara.
The rubbish we are talking about consists of unwanted things or waste materials such as empty tins and bottles, used papers, waste foods, metals, plastics, old scrap vehicles, tires, the remains of dead animals, watermelons, orange and banana peels, etc. Some people are trying to reverse this trend. One such place is Farafenni Town, the Mauritania Lower Basic School, which for over 3 years has been the cleanest school campus. Here is Karamo Oture, a teacher. He further extends his appreciation to the support staff who work tirelessly till 8 p.m. during the week to ensure the campus is kept clean. At the Barra and Banjo ferry terminals, as well as the ferries, the gateway into and out of the city, commuters seem to have no regard or respect for or desire to use the trash or dustbins provided by the management, making the entrance to our city an eyesore. Here is Malik Jallo, a student of the Collective Arts Academy in Serakunda, who agreed to speak to QTV.
It is the responsibilities of us, the individuals. It is as a result of our carelessness.
And here are his suggestions as to how we can improve and stop blaming the government.
And then the possible solution, I think, it is not the responsibilities of the government, because they are doing all that information to keep the nation. It is left for us, the individual, and then the citizens to practice their policies as far as the government is concerned, in which one of them includes anything you have to throw, do not loiter around. You understand? When you have something you want to throw it into the trash bin. If you are in your car, don't throw it outside of your car. Keep it inside your car. When you reach your houses, throw it inside your trash bin.
At Carnifing, QTV went into St. Teresa's Lower Basic School's campus while some students were out, and it was amazing to see how clean and neat the school campus was. John O. Mendy is a senior staff member of the school.
Our slogan in the school here, keep your environment clean. Pick anything that you see, put it in the dustbin. That's our slogan. That's why every time you enter the school, you see that the school is very clean.
Mr. Mendy further said that children are taught about and practice hygiene, which is the key to cleanliness. Auntie Khadijatu Jallo, a mentor at St. Teresa's Lower Basic School, spoke on the attitude of people in the community.
This is due to the attitude of the human being. We have to teach ourselves how to be clean. And sometimes you go outside, you look at the environment, you're really sad. I started from myself. I take a cup of coffee outside because there's everywhere where they sell this coffee. You take a cup, you drink the cup, dustbins are around, you just throw it outside. You are inside the car, chewing groundnut, you gather the groundnut, you throw it outside. I mean, we have to change our attitude. It's attitudinal change.
If the example set by these schools is emulated nationwide, we could have a cleaner and healthier environment than the one we presently have. Health is wealth, and we owe it to ourselves to make use of dust and trash bins provided. And we must also call on our council and municipalities to provide adequate waste disposal bins. However, most of all, we the public must change our attitude to how we dispose of rubbish. The waste we encounter does not get there by itself. We put it there. For QTV News, Lolly M. Kamara.
From that story by Lolly M. Kamara, now to international news. At least 19 people were left dead after deadly gunfire erupted in Chad's capital on Wednesday night between security forces and more than a dozen armed fighters who stormed the presidential palace. Aliou Cissé has the details.
The assault came just hours after a visit by China's Foreign Minister Wang Yi, who met Chad's President Mohamed Idris Deby and other senior officials. The attack did not prevent business and schools opening as usual on Thursday, but there was a heightened security presence on the streets of N'Djamena, the Chadian capital. This attack comes weeks after controversial parliamentary elections, which were boycotted by the opposition parties. They accused the President Mohamed Idris Deby's military-turned-civilian government of trying to legitimize his rule. The attack also followed Chad's surprising expulsion of French troops in December. Speaking on Chad State TV, Chad's government spokesperson and Foreign Minister Abdurrahman Koulibaly said the attackers were armed with knives, not guns. He said at least 6 people have been arrested in connection with the attack, although it is unclear so far who they are. Some have blamed the armed group Boko Haram, while others say it might be attempted military coup. Chad is a landlocked country in North Central Africa, which, since gaining independence from France in 1960, has seen frequent periods of instability and fighting, most recent between government forces and those of the Islamic group Boko Haram. Reporting for QTV News, I am Aliou Cisse.
Some 102 men were executed by Congolese government in the past week in the Democratic Republic of Congo, DRC, and 70 more are set to be executed by this weekend. More in this report. On the 5th of January 2025, DRC's Justice Minister, Constant Mutamba, announced that more than 170 people allegedly linked to criminal gangs commonly known as Kulana or bandits had been transferred from the capital Kinshasa to Angenga prison in northwest DRC for execution. He said those transferred to Angenga were between 18 and 35 years old and had been involved in urban violence. Authorities have claimed resuming executions would help combat urban gangs, a claim unsupported by any evidence. Mutamba has previously threatened people suspected of links to criminal gangs with arrest, conviction, and the death penalty, even before trial. Minister Mutamba, who is overseeing the executions, said late on Sunday the third batch will be executed, so the first two have already undergone the measure of execution by the death penalty. In response to the reports that the executions were about to happen, Amnesty International's Deputy Regional Director for East and Southern Africa, Sarah Jackson, said, "The announcement of these prison transfers is absolutely appalling. We fear imminent mass execution by the authorities amid a lack of reliable information about the status of people sentenced to death." In March 2024, DRC's government has announced it will resume executions following a 2-decade hiatus. Since then, death sentences by military courts have soared. These sentences often follow what many claimed are unfair trials, including against alleged members of criminal gangs and armed groups, and some members of the army accused of treason. The death penalty in DR Congo is a sensitive issue. The country abolished it in 1981, but it was reinstated in 2006. However, before these executions, the last execution took place in 2003. Mamadou Gajaga, QTV News. Now, before we end this news bulletin, here's a recap of our main news headlines. The studies of students at St. John's School for the Deaf along the Caraba Avenue are threatened by a looming scarcity of teachers, coupled with the challenge of access to employment opportunities in public offices after completing their education. The Gambia Sickle Cell Association held a handing over ceremony on Friday to welcome its new executive members while celebrating the achievements of the retiring leadership. Our regional correspondent Don Williams spoke to various people about how to tackle the menace of waste and litter which are choking our communities. In international news, at least 19 people were left dead after a deadly gunfire erupted in Chad's capital N'Djamena on Wednesday night between security forces and more than a dozen armed fighters who stormed the presidential palace. Also in international news, some 102 men were executed by the Congolese government in the past week in the Democratic Republic of Congo, DRC, and 70 people are set to be executed by this weekend. That's what we all have time for in this edition of the news. Thank you very much for watching.